In this video, I want to briefly talk about Python syntax. Specifically, I want to talk about 4 key aspects of Python syntax, which would be indentation, statements, expressions, and comments. Python uses indentation to define the structure of code blocks, whereas many other programming languages use curly braces to define their code blocks. A statement is just a complete instruction that performs some action. An expression is a combination of values, variables, and operators that produce a result, and comments are just a way to add notes to code to explain the purpose of that code. If you look on the right side of the screen, I have some examples of indentation, statements, expressions, a statement containing an expression, and comments. I have a if conditional that ends in a colon. Anything that ends in a colon requires that the code for that below it is indented. A statement can be as simple as x equals 25, or an expression as simple as x plus 5. A statement containing an expression will be something like y equals x plus 5. And for comments, you can use either a hashtag to create a single line comment or the triple quotes to create a multi-line comment. Now, I will have a separate video to cover comments because there's some additional stuff that I want to cover about comments. In this video, I want to focus on indentation. So if I jump into my development environment here, I have some code ready to explain some of the stuff regarding indentation in Python. So I have an if, elif, and else conditional statements here. And under each one of these, they are indented because I have this colon here. So the first one here under the if conditional is indented to the standard 4 spaces, which is common in many interactive development environments to put in 4 spaces when you hit the tab key. And then under the elif conditional here, I actually have 12 spaces. And the Python interpreter does not care how many spaces you actually indent, as long as all the code that is supposed to be indented is indented the same amount for each code block. So here I have 12 spaces. Up here, I only have 4 spaces. And down here under the else conditional here, I only have 1 space. Python interpreter does not care. Now, if I were to change the spacing for this one here, which has 2 statements, and I add an additional space, we'll see that I get this red squiggly line indicating an error. And if I hover over it, it tells us that it's an unexpected indentation. And if I were to remove a few spaces and hover over it, now it says unindent amount does not match the previous indent. As you can see, Python is very strict about its indentation. And if you are outside of any area that requires indentation, so if you're not under an if conditional, inside a loop, under a function, under a class, something like that where you are required to have indents and you put space before the code, it doesn't like that either. So here, outside of the if conditionals, I just put a single space before this statement, x equals 5. And if I mouse over it, it's telling me that it's an unexpected indentation. And if I try to run this, it's going to give me an indentation error and the program is never going to execute. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. In a different video, I will explain comments, how to create them, and how to use them to your benefit.